Abuja, good morning and welcome to uh, the Volunteers Hours in 360 Analysis. Now, today we'll be having a conversation around the roles volunteers are playing in our community, how volunteers are instruments or vehicle of development in our society. And with me today are two super volunteers. The first is Barrister Uche Wokocha. She's the volunteer program officer for the Maria Nigeria-Abuja Foundation, Abuja. Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning, Abuja.
Good. The second person here is, I call her Mother of Volunteers. So, the second person here is Ovoh Otarigho. Ovoh Otarigho is, she's a super volunteer. She's a member of the Yali Network. She's a principal accountant working in Border Communities Development Agency. She's an avid volunteer who believes that volunteering should be seen as an act that will benefit both her community and the volunteer. Welcome, Ovoh.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. So, let's move to it quickly. You know, volunteering, it's a platform that gives the volunteers opportunity to serve, and on the other hand, it benefits the society. So the question is like, how do we measure the impact of? Sometimes we that are deeply into volunteering will have this conversation like, how do we measure the impact of volunteering in our communities? Because, for example, you see, volunteers under the Yali Network, for example, carry out all kinds of activities. Under the Yali Network, for example, you have the African for Her campaign that seeks to encourage support for women. You see people who are pro climate change. They want to advocate the community on climate change issues. You see volunteers under the network that are into leadership formation for young people and all kinds. If away from Yali Network, you go to other volunteer involving network like the One campaign, for example, where you have the One champions who do all kinds of works in our community, advocating for the rights of the people, supporting food for the communities and all that, you know. So if you look at all these things, the only thing that comes to your mind is this: how do we measure the impact of volunteers in our communities? So before I continue this narrative, I want to ask you, Uche, you are a volunteer with the Maria Nigeria-Abuja Foundation.
Yes.
So how has been your experience as a volunteer?
Well, it's been a very interesting experience. It has been exposing for me in terms of my personal capabilities and the whole volunteering, thing. It's giving me an opportunity to connect with the community at my own level,
I like
and at
that.
the level of the foundation I'm working with.
Yes.
So it's been very eye-opening.
Okay. Oh, excellent. So, while as a volunteer, I want to find out what prompted you. What's your driving force?
Okay, I've always wanted to be a central part of a cause that lends helping hands to a group of people. I wasn't very particular about the sector I was looking at,
Okay.
so I just went in search of volunteering opportunities, and when I found this one, I was swift to taking it because the core of what the Maria Nigeria-Abuja Fertility Foundation does is something that is very close to my heart, because I've had close experience with people dealing with infertility and all of that. So
Interesting. So, one core thing about volunteering or volunteers is that most volunteers I know and volunteers who do well are those who volunteer with a purpose. First of all, it resonates with their passion, and from that, they give in their skill. So, over to you, Ovoh. What you doing as a volunteer?
I like the way you started. Volunteers that volunteer with a purpose and with a passion. Currently, right now, I am building a library for one of the IDP camps in Durumi Area 1. It started as a book drive in January. And then I thought, as against just giving the children books that we know will come back and in the next couple of weeks they will all be torn and shattered everywhere, why don't we have a proper structure on ground where we can get more volunteers to come and teach the children? Because most of the children are not in school. So we have a structure now on ground, and we hope to launch it this week or next week, and then we'll move to the next IDP camp.
Wow.
And the best way to keep a project like that sustainable is by having people volunteer on it. So that way the project moves, it grows.
So let me ask you this, right? What inspired you?
Back in 2018, 2019, I volunteered with another NGO called Read a Book Nigeria Initiative, Rabini. She's one of the partners for the project. We used to go teach the children, or rather we taught the children for 4 months in the camp, and when we finished, we did a TEDx presentation for them. 17 children got scholarships to further their education. But I noticed during the time we were teaching them, most of the students were not coming to class regularly. If it's the girls that couldn't get sanitary products for the months, at that time they were very, very uncomfortable coming to class. Another thing was the structure where we were teaching them, it wasn't conducive, they had to sit on the ground. That days we go there and it's not open, or it's open and it's not clean. So all these things inspired me, and the SDGs go for quality education. It talks about inclusive education.
Yes.
It's gender equality. It talks about having everybody do everything at the same time at once before 2013, achieving that goal. So I thought, why don't I use that as a drive, since it's a passion already, like you said, and just put up a structure for them. So we're moving to the next camp, which is Sabu Kuchuguru. We're doing me now. We were able to get over 2,000 books. So we hope to move on and build more structures for even communities, rural communities. Somebody has reached out from a community by the train station. Yes, that they will need books there and shelves for the children. So let's see how it goes.
Interesting, right? So Abuja, you can be part of this conversation by calling these numbers 081 084 475 18. I'll take that again. 081 084 475 18. Please feel free to call in and tell us, have you volunteered before and how has been your experience as a volunteer? So, as a volunteer, you go through a lot of challenges. According to a recent research, volunteers go through all kinds of challenges, and they go through what they call volunteers fatigue. Have you experienced it before, Uchi?
Well, I haven't been volunteering for long. I've only volunteered for almost 2 months now.
Okay.
But I feel like I've had a year's worth of experience in this short time. Because I've had a mix of personal experiences, and I can tell you that even within the short time I've experienced volunteers fatigue.
Okay.
And the area I've experienced it is, for instance, my job at the foundation has to do a lot with coordinating activities and getting people to do what you need them to do.
Yes.
So I've had challenges with getting timely responses.
Okay.
When the thing about volunteering is, because you're not paying people to do things, it's hard to sometimes get their commitment.
Response.
Yes, and their response, So that's the area I've had, most major challenge,
So
since I started.
I'm interested. Tell me, I would like to hear about your program.
Okay, so that's what the foundation does, right?
Yeah, the project, you mentioned you're working on the project at this time.
Yes, I'm working on a project at this time. The foundation is in the process of organizing a medical outreach within the Gariki community. The purpose of the outreach is to create awareness about our existence in the community and to also reach out to couples within that environment that are dealing with infertility. Yeah, so that program is slated for the 7th of May.
Okay.
So we are coordinating that. We are going to have free medical consultations. We are also going to have free health checks because of that, but we'll be delivering a health talk that is mainly centered around infertility to help those in the community understand why they're facing what they're facing, how those who haven't yet gotten to that point or who will hopefully not get there, how they can avoid it, just a very comprehensive health talk.
So you delve into this planning with all your heart as a volunteer.
I did, because it's my first time, so I came with all the energy.
All the energy, everything.
Okay, so Abuja, we'll go on a short break, but before that, I'll call the numbers again. You can join this conversation 081 084 47518. 081 084 47518. We'll be right back. Come back, Abuja. We're still having our conversation around volunteers and how volunteers contribute to national development. So far in Nigeria, we're having thousands of volunteers, we have millions of volunteers who painstakingly devote their time towards solving community problems every day in our country. In addition to that, we have volunteers who dedicate their skill to grow some organization, and in return they gather skills as well. So, which means that while some people languish at home that there are no jobs, some people are seizing the moment to leverage on volunteering to gain the skills they need to get the next big job. So what you doing as a volunteer, or what you doing as a Nigerian, young Nigerian at home? How have you explored the possibility of volunteering your skill? First of all, to gain knowledge and also to support your community. You can do this right in your neighborhood. You don't need to go far to volunteer. You can start the process in your neighborhood. Volunteers are responsible for cleaning communities. We have volunteers who carry out periodic medical outreaches. What they basically do is they look at people who have the skills to provide or who have the expertise. Okay, we'll have a caller. I'll continue. Hello? Good morning. Yeah, good morning. Welcome to Radio Maria. What's your name and where you calling from? What? Can you speak louder, please? Okay. Great. So what's your contribution, man? Oh, great. Volunteer.
Thank you.
Go ahead, man. Thank you. Okay. 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 Yeah, so I remember vividly, Gloria. So, like I told you, we're meant to reach out to you. Yeah, we're still going to reach out to you. So, one of the ways we get volunteers involved in service is, for example, Uche is organizing a program to reach out to people that have fertility issues. So, we can connect you with her program and give in your best. So that's one way we can encourage you. And there will be other opportunities which we will share with you. We'll have your details already. Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye. Yes, another call. Hi, good morning. Good morning. Okay. So, now, back to you, Awele. Like I mentioned before, recent research has shown that volunteers go through what we call volunteers fatigue, and they manifest in different ways. Physical fatigue, because you are stressed physically, you have emotional fatigue, which has to do with dealing with issues, psychological issues from your experience as a volunteer. Sometimes you are overburdened. There's some workload fatigue, like sometimes you walk into the office, you see the amount of workload in your head on the desk, you're like, come on, do I really do this? Have you experienced all this before?
I'm currently experiencing it.
Okay, a call is coming. Go ahead. Hi, good morning. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? Okay, go ahead. What's your contribution, Sylvester? Yeah. Thank you so much. Great. Oh, great. Thank you so much, Sylvester. Bye bye. And so back to you, Awule.
Yeah, I said I'm currently experiencing volunteers fatigue.
Okay.
If you're an avid, let me use the word, an avid volunteer, and you give in most of your time doing what it is that you do, you experience the fatigue from time to time. But I always tell people it's all about planning. But there's sometimes your plan go out of what you have. Like you say, man proposes, God disposes. Yeah. You have a plan, you have a structure. I'm going to start a project at this time. You have a timeline for it. But most of the time, it's out of your hands. Then you start getting worried. The fatigue starts coming in. Now, for someone like me who has a regular 9 to 5, I'm a civil servant, and I take out that time and volunteer continuously. I realized that to reduce that fatigue on my own part, I need to get the community where I'm volunteering involved. Now, take the
Excellent.
library, for instance. Now, when we started the structure, many of the mothers came around. Not that they were not in support, but they didn't understand what we were doing. And then there's a barrier of communication. I don't speak Hausa very well, but I hear a bit.
Yeah.
And they're coming, and it's mostly Hausa they're speaking. The days I'm the only one there, the other volunteers or the other people from the NGOs are not there. It's a kind of barrier. So I'm on the campsite for 2 hours, and I'm not understanding what they're saying. So I had to get someone to come with me most of the time, and then help them understand what we were doing. Now, as a structure, it's going to educate your children. It's going to give them free education. And most of them have been there because of the insurgency from their states. Borno State, Boko Haram brought them there, and their children are out of school. So explaining that, giving them ideas, making them dream. I noticed the next day I came back to the camp, most of the mothers were there waiting for me, asking me what they can do.
Wow, that's nice.
So I would like to reach out to any volunteer hearing me now. Get the community where you're working with involved. Let them understand the importance and value of what you're doing. That will also reduce some fatigue on your own.
So your strategy is to get the buy-in of the community,
Yes.
the beneficiaries of the program,
Yes.
and that reduces the workload
It
on you.
reduces the workload.
So the
sometimes,
thing
yeah.
is, if you are a volunteer or you ever dream to volunteer, never be scared. For every work done, there you have challenges. So it's not unique to volunteering alone. So the thing is, when you encounter volunteers fatigue, your approach to manage it matters a lot. What the first thing you need to do is to make a reassessment of what you're doing. For example, you are volunteering for an organization, you have excessive workload. What you need to do, you have like reassessment. We all know our strengths and weaknesses, so that comes to play. When you do this assessment, you realize, okay, what do you need to cut down on, what do you need to scale up, then you know how to balance things out. So Abuja, you can join this conversation, and the number to call is 081 084 475 18. 081 084 475 18. So if you've ever volunteered before and you've experienced a kind of volunteers fatigue, let's share your experience with us, and let's advise you how you can deal with that. Okay, so back to you, Uche. So as it is, you started your volunteering journey not too long ago.
Yes.
But you've had like a 1 year's experience, like you mentioned, right?
Yes.
So, how can you tell your story to encourage other people to volunteer?
Well, I had said earlier that my motivation for volunteering was born out of personal interest in being a part of a cause.
Yes.
If you have a yearning inside of you to be a part of fulfilling a cause like that, you shouldn't ignore it. You shouldn't let it die, because that means that there is passion inside that you need to explore,
Yeah.
and it means that there is so much that you can give.
Yes.
So this short time, I can tell you that I've already started to have some sense of purpose,
Oh wow.
because I feel like I'm doing something that matters, And so I would encourage everybody out there who maybe, like for me, my long-term goal is to have my own NGO. I've not decided the area I want it to be centered around, but this will give you a learning experience and to help you to develop skills that you can apply later.
Interesting. So this part of the conversation we're having. Look, you have a long-term goal of managing your own foundation.
Yes.
So you are serving at this time.
Yes.
So this is what I keep saying to young people. What you doing at home? Pressing your phones.
Yeah, and can I just say something?
Yes, go ahead.
You said something earlier about skills.
Yes.
She's already harnessing and getting those skills already. By
Yes.
the time she starts her own NGO, you're going to know everything about finance and about budgets,
Yes.
about monitoring and evaluation.
Evaluation. Yes.
You're right.
And then you can also train people and get more people to join you.
Exactly.
Another thing is the volunteering opportunity has given me that chance to bring in my own experience. Just like Awele, I have in 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have in 9 to 5
Yes,
and
barrister.
I've done that for almost 10 years now.
Wow.
So this has given me the opportunity to bring in the legal and administrative experience I've had from here to help with the structure of the foundation as well.
Yes.
It has made me realize that there's no knowledge that is wasted.
That's all.
Even the things I learned in passing in the course of those 10 years, I'm finding that I have to
You
significantly
draw all of them.
use them in
Yes.
this role.
I'm
this
even
role.
organizing focus groups much better now. Yes. And then you I tell people, you want to volunteer like you said, you
Yes.
don't know how to do it. Look
Yes.
for the problem in your community. Like you said, Ovoh, you don't have to go far. Look around you.
Right beside
Right
you.
beside you, even if it's waste disposal, people are not disposing
Yes.
properly on your streets. You can go from house to house talking to people and say, we need to keep the streets clean. And we'll volunteer every Saturday morning. We don't even do sanitation again in Nigeria.
We
do we?
don't.
Yeah,
Even last Saturday of the month, my father will make all of us carry rake and clean the whole compound.
Yes.
Well, so I mean, that's the beauty of volunteering. One, volunteers are like the caretakers of our communities. They are the lifeblood of the society, and the efforts, commitment, contribution of volunteers can never be wholly estimated. You know, the conversation, part of the conversation today is how do we actually measure the service of volunteers, the economic contribution of volunteers in this country. That will be a huge research later on. The number to call if you want to join this conversation is still 081 084 47518. We'll be going on a short break at this time. Please don't go away. Be right back.